Good afternoon. Welcome on in to another episode of From Day One, the court case part 2 of the She Said with a twist is lock and loaded. We will start in the Asgard fight as we have our court case. Attorneys and Your Honor, take it away.
Thank you. All right, you may proceed.
Mr. T.J. Floyd. People call T.J. Floyd.
Hit the button that says unmute, sir.
Okay, unmute.
You're all set. There you go. Thank you.
Okay.
Please raise your right hand to be sworn. Do you swear that the testimony you're about to provide will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
All right, thank you. You may lower your hand. Your witness, Mr. Floyd, please make sure that when questions are yes or no questions, you say yes or no. No mm-hms or uh-uhs, because the court can't pick those up, okay? So you have to say yes or no.
Okay. Yes.
All right. Thank you. You may proceed, Mr. Burdell.
All right, thank you, Judge. All right, Mr. Floyd, I'd like to draw your attention to April 18th of 2021. Did something unusual occur that day which brings you here?
Yes.
And did that occur on Villa Drive in Ypsilanti Township?
Yes.
And what is that address?
578 Villa Drive, I believe.
I mean, well, I guess, what is there? Is it a business? Is it a home? Is it something else?
Oh, it's apartment complex, Harbor One.
And who lives there?
My daughter.
And what were you doing there that day?
She picked me up and took me over there to get an inhaler for my COPD. She had an extra one.
Okay. And did you come into contact with the defendant, Miss Taisha Zerker?
Yes.
Had you met her before that day?
No.
And where were you when you first came into contact with her?
I was standing in the yard at the back door where my daughter had her truck parked.
All right. And how did you come into contact with her? What was she doing?
Well, she walked up from around the corner of the apartment building, and that's how I first seen her.
Did she say anything?
Yes, she asked me if Melissa was around her. She may have asked me who I was. I said I was Melissa's father. And she asked me if Melissa was around.
Right. And what'd you say?
I said yes.
And do you remember her attitude or her demeanor at the time?
Seemed normal to me at the time.
Okay. And
or like I said, I didn't know, anything about her.
Right. And what happened next?
She asked me where Melissa was. I said she was in the house. And then she walked in the house there, and I heard screaming and arguing, and my daughter telling her to get out of the house and calling each other names and such.
Okay. And could you hear what they were arguing about?
Basically, her being in the house. I heard my daughter say, "You just walk right in," and this and that, and, something like that, to that effect. I didn't know that her and my daughter weren't getting along or whatever,
And now you had not invited Mrs. Zerker over to the home that day, correct?
No, I'd never spoke to her before that moment.
Okay. And now you said you heard arguments between Melissa Floyd and the defendant, Miss Zerker, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And so what were you doing while this was happening?
Standing outside the apartment.
Right. And how long do you think the argument went on?
Probably just a couple minutes.
Okay. And what happened next?
Well, they both came out of the apartment and proceeded with the altercation.
Okay. So who came out of the apartment first?
I'm not sure. Probably was it Taisha?
Right. And then what happened? What was everybody's demeanor at that time?
They were both pretty fired up, arguing. I was kind of dumbfounded about it. I didn't know what was going on. Okay.
Do you remember what they were arguing about?
No, I don't.
Okay.
About her being in the apartment, I guess. Her walking in, and I guess my daughter didn't want her nowhere around or to know where she lived or anything. I guess I don't know.
And what happened
from it?
Okay, understood. And what happened next?
Well, then we were standing by the vehicle, and I don't know really what happened next. Everything happened so quickly. I was telling him to calm down, and then Tasha went to take my daughter's son out of the back seat, and my daughter called her more names, and then she ended up slapping my daughter.
Okay. And this is Amante, is your daughter's son?
Yes.
And you said she slapped your daughter, that being the defendant?
Yes.
Did she say anything just before or after she slapped your daughter?
Oh, my daughter went hysterical, started screaming, and, she was hit, and to put her son down and leave her alone and to leave, and, that's
all right, and then what happened next?
More cussing back and forth and name calling, and Daisha threatening to take her son, and I don't know. It was just one big mess, Two women going at it.
And did Miss Zerker eventually leave?
Yes.
All right, describe what happened when she left. How did she leave?
Well, she just walked back around the corner where she, came up to the apartment first at, and my daughter was all hysterical over it, and, saying she had no right to walk up and hit her, and, the argument shouldn't have. I was trying to apologize to my daughter. I said, hey, I'd have tried to restrain her from walking in if I'd have known, that you guys you didn't like her. I didn't know her.
Okay. And was that the last you saw of Miss Zerker that day?
Yes, that's the only time I've ever seen her.
And do you recall about what time of day this occurred?
Probably, I don't know, 1 o'clock-ish. I don't know. I'm not really sure. It was daytime, I know that. Not real late. 11 o'clock, 12, 1, something like that. I don't really know. Something like that.
Sometime in the early afternoon, though, basically.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Judge, I have nothing further at this time. Thank you.
Thank you. Your witness, Mr. Bannis.
Mr. Floyd, I'm going to ask you a few questions, okay?
Okay.
Thank you, sir. You said you are Melissa's father, is that correct?
Melissa, yes.
Are you her biological father?
Yes.
You're not her foster father?
Objection as to relevance.
Response to the relevance objection, Mr. Bannis.
Well, that's fine, Your Honor. He already testified he's her biological father. I'll move on. So I'll withdraw the question.
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. So you had never seen Ms. Zerker prior to this date, is that correct?
That's correct. Never have.
Okay. And you really don't have any knowledge about why she came over allegedly to the location?
No.
Okay.
I didn't know anything about that. I don't know. Seemed like she was trying to take my daughter's son, and I don't know if she was going to take him over to his biological father's or something, or just snatch him up or something, or try to knock my daughter off her square. So I think that her boyfriend.
Okay, I asked the question and you answered it, so that's
right.
Fine. Thank you, sir. The prosecutor can follow up if he has additional questions for you.
Okay.
And just so you do know, that's not the defense attorney being an asshole or snarky. it's the kind of deal where you do want to go ahead and get what information you want out to be done, but you do not want to let the guy ramble to give out information that potentially could be damaging to your side.
So I think you testified this occurred sometime in the early afternoon, to the best of your recollection. Is that true?
Yes, it was daylight. I wouldn't say it was late afternoon. I'd say early. I don't know, something like that. Yes.
Thank you.
Or slightly before noon. I'm not sure. It was around that time of day.
Okay. So what's your relationship to Amante? Are you his grandfather?
Yes.
Okay. I believe you, correct me if I'm wrong, you said that Ms. Zerker walked into the house, correct?
Correct.
And you were outside at that time?
Yes.
Okay. So it sounds like, but correct me if I'm wrong, you really don't know if Melissa allowed Ms. Zerker into the house or not, because you were outside at the time.
No, I didn't hear anybody say come in. Like, you know.
Okay. Thank you. I have no further questions for Mr. Floyd, Your Honor.
Thank you. Any redirect, Mr. Riddell?
No, Judge.
Thank you. May this witness be excused.
Yes, Judge. People have nothing further from this gentleman.
And you don't want him in the waiting room. You're not going to recall him in rebuttal.
I don't plan on it. I'll defer to Mr. Bannis if he wants that. But I don't plan on it.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Bannis.
I don't really have any objection to Mr. Floyd staying if he wishes to.
Okay. Mr. Floyd, you're welcome to stay here if you want. That wasn't really my question, but that's fine too.
Oh, I'm sorry. What?
Mr. Floyd, if you want to stay in the virtual courtroom, you want. If you want to hang up, you can do that as well. My question was really, do you want him in the virtual waiting room in the event he needs to be recalled in this case?
I do not.
Okay, thank you. All right, Mr. Floyd, you're welcome to stay if you want to, sir.
Okay.
If you could remute your device, that would be helpful.
Oh, okay. Or how about if I just hang up and my daughter's got my phone number. I think it might show up there. If you need me, just call me. I'll be by my phone.
I'll call and let you know what happens, Dad. I love
Okay.
you.
All right. Thank you. Bye, Mr. Floyd.
Love you,
Bye.
Daddy. All right.
All right. Any further witnesses, Mr. Riddell?
Nothing for the people, Judge. Thank you.
All right, Mr. And the people rest.
The people rest. Yes, Judge.
Alrighty, so to the defense.
Mr. Bannis?
Yes, Your Honor. I will call Ms. Zerker as my first witness, and she is aware that she is not required to testify, but she is choosing to do so.
All right, thank you. Ms. Zerker? If you could unmute your device, please, ma'am.
It does
Good
require
afternoon, Your Honor.
There we
Good
go.
afternoon, Ms. Zerker. Just so that the record is clear, you have a constitutional right to remain silent if you so choose. And your silence cannot be used against you and here in the court of law. And if you do testify today, it's possible that anything you say may be used against you. Do you understand that, ma'am?
Yes.
And so are you giving up your right to remain silent and choosing to testify? She just disappeared.
Uh-oh.
She's in the waiting room. I'm letting her back in.
Hello.
Yes, hello, Ms. Zerker.
I'm so sorry. Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead, and then I also Taisha Zerker. I'm sorry.
Thank you. So what I was explaining, Ms. Zerker, is that you have an absolute right not to testify, and that you can so choose to testify if you want by waiving that right, but then you say can and will likely be used against you in the court of law. Do you understand that, ma'am?
Yes, I do understand.
And you're giving up your right today?
Yes, I am.
Please raise your right hand. Be sworn. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to provide will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
You may lower your hand now. I'm pretty sure you heard me when I explained to everyone else that you have to answer yes or no to any questions, and that you should. I think that's it. You may begin, Mr. Bannis.
Thank you.
I'm sorry. I have just one thing. I'm so sorry. I dropped my car because I have an emergency with my children at the school. And I'm probably gonna have to head in that direction, which means I'm not sure what service is gonna be like in the car trying to do all this.
Mr. Bannis, do you want to speak with your client?
Ms. Zerker, are you saying there's some emergency at the school, you need to leave to pick up your children?
I'm not sure. I'm trying to figure that out. They had a ride. I'm not sure what's going on, but I'm getting phone calls. He's good. Okay, never mind. He's good. Okay, we got to figure it out.
Okay,
I'm
good.
sorry. I just was panicking, and I'm sorry. But okay.
No, I understand. We all go through that. So, okay, Ms. Zerker, I am going to ask you some questions about what happened on April 18th, 2021, okay?
Okay.
Okay, so first of all, what is your relationship to Abe Dean?
He and I co-parent my fourth son, Calvin Zerker.
All right, so your son with Mr. Dean's name is Calvin, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Now, to your knowledge, if you know, does Mr. Dean have a child with Miss Melissa Floyd?
Yes.
And what is that child's name?
Monty.
Okay. Do you, other than the fact that Mr. Dean has, Amante is Mr. Dean's child also, do you have any relationship with Amante? Do you have any legal relationship relating to Amante or anything whatsoever relating to Amante?
I currently do not. In the past, I was a caretaker.
Okay, I'm going to follow up with some additional questions, but I want to ask you right up front. At any point in time on April 18th, 2021, did you go to Melissa Floyd's residence on Villa Drive?
I did not go there.
Who was there with you that day on April 18th, 2021 at your home?
Well, all four of my children were with me the entire day. However, part of that morning, Mr. Dean was at my home visiting Calvin. In the evening, I was with a friend, Tia Wright. We were playing cards.
Do you recall what hours of the day Mr. Dean was at your home that day visiting your son, Calvin?
I can't give you a specific time, but I do know that he called me sometime after 8 and arrived at my house about an hour later. He stayed until about 5. He walked home.
Okay, so I'm trying not to ask a leading question, but it sounds like you just said he was there from approximately 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Is that correct, or am I wrong?
It was more like 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. because he walked back and forth, so it took him a little while to get to my house. We live a few miles apart.
And what did he do at your house during that day?
So when he arrived, Calvin opened the door for him, and they were downstairs. He bought Calvin an airplane or some type of airplane. He showed that to him. Calvin wished him a happy birthday. They hung out. I think they played video games for a little while. I'm not 100% sure because I wasn't downstairs the entire time. I was up in my room, and I was preparing for my friend. We were talking about playing cards and stuff.
And your friend, you said, was Tia Wright, is that correct?
Yes.
What time did Tia arrive at your house, if you remember?
I know it wasn't too dark out, but it had to have been sometime after 6 o'clock, maybe like 6:30.
Okay. So while, so Mr. Dean, what's his nickname?
Abe.
Okay, so I'm gonna refer to him as Abe, and he's the father of your child, Calvin, right?
Yes.
Okay, so Abe was there, you said, from around 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Were you also at the home the entire time?
Yes, the entire morning I was at the home, yes.
So you were home the entire morning. Did you ever leave?
Yes.
At what time did you leave, and why did you leave?
I left after Abe left, so about 5:30, and I walked to a local gas station that's by my house. I picked up a deck of cards, and I picked up some like little cooler drinks, like daiquiris.
And you said, is it true that, what time did Tia, well, I'm sorry, you already said Tia arrived at around 6 or 6:30 p.m., is that correct?
About 6:30, she arrived.
Okay, so is it correct that Abe left at around 5 p.m.?
Roughly, yes. He left about
Roughly,
4
okay.
p.m. Yeah.
And is it correct that Tia arrived at around 6 or 6:30 p.m.?
She arrived around 6:30, yes.
Okay, and is it correct that the only time you left your home was around 5:30 p.m. to go to the gas station, like you just said?
Yes.
Okay.
It's a BP.
How did you get there? Did you walk or drive or some other way?
I walked.
And you mentioned something about cards. Why did you go to that gas station?
Because I had talked to Tia earlier that day. She and I were supposed to go on a jog that morning, and we had canceled. So I ended up making plans with her to meet later on in the evening, and we were going to play cards. And we were going to have drinks and stuff too. So.
Okay. And at the gas station, what did you at the BP, what did you purchase?
So I bought these little margarita can things, some daiquiris. I bought 2 of them, one for her, one for me. And I bought a deck of cards. And like just regular playing cards.
Did you end up playing any cards with Tia later that night?
Yeah, she sat at my house for a few hours. Shortly after she left, I got a phone call from a police officer.
So on April 18th, 2021, were you ever in actual physical contact in any way with Melissa Floyd?
No, I was not at her home. I did not slap her. I was not in a stance like this and holding her baby and slapped her.
Okay.
I was home with my family.
Okay. But have you ever had contact with Miss Floyd in the past?
Yes, I was her parent partner.
Okay.
As well as her friend after I removed myself from the case.
On April 18th, 2021, or any time after that date, did Miss Floyd ever talk to you or contact you or anything?
She contacted me the night of.
What did she say?
Me. She didn't say anything.
Calls for hearsay.
She just was on the phone breathing.
Hold on, Miss Zucker.
Response, Mr. Bannis.
Your Honor, I guess if it's an out-of-court statement, that would be hearsay.
Me being at her house is hearsay.
No, it's not, ma'am.
Hold on, Ms. Zucker. Your Honor, that's fine. I'll move on. Have you and Ms. Floyd had, well, first of all, Amante is not your child, correct?
Amante is not my child, no.
Okay.
I have only been a caretaker of him. I've babysat and provided for him.
Okay. All right. I have no further questions for Ms. Zucker at this time, Your Honor. Maybe possibly on redirect.
Mr. Burdell, your witness.
Thank you, Judge. All right, Ms. Zucker, I'm going to ask you some questions here. I'm not trying to, I know we're on, I'm not trying to trick you or trap you or get you any gotchas here. So if you don't understand what I'm asking, feel free to, let me know and I'll try to rephrase it in a different way or anything like that, all right?
Okay.
So it sounds like at one point you were, if not friends, at least friendly with Melissa Floyd?
She and I were friends.
Okay. And, but then here we are with this case.
Unfortunately.
So you remember a lot about this day. Was there anything special for you about what happened this day?
I remember a lot about it being a regular, normal day for me and my children and my friends. I usually have a lot of people at my home. I usually spend a lot of time with my children outside of my work life. So
Do you play cards with Miss Wright often?
Yes.
Okay. How often do you play cards?
A few times a month with her and a few other friends, but majority of the time with her.
Okay. And so you said that. I'm just trying to read my own notes here. The Miss Dean came over at about. I'm sorry, Mr. Dean was there from about 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. and then he left it around 5 p.m.
Justin, that's a mischaracterization of her testimony.
Okay. Well, I guess
She said 10 a.m. to 5 p.m.
Okay, thank you.
I agree with the objection, and
Okay, thank you. I was just trying to clarify. So he was there about 10 a.m. to 5 p.m.
Yes.
Okay. And then after he left, and then Miss Dean came over. I'm sorry, Miss Tia. What's Tia's last name?
Right.
Right. Thank you. Miss Wright arrived after 6 p.m.
Yes. 6:30.
And you said that you kind of walked through a lot about what Calvin did. Calvin is the son that you have with Mr. Dean?
Yes.
Okay, so it seems like you remember a lot of details about what they were doing, right?
No, I don't. I said that I wasn't quite sure what all they did, but at some point they were playing video games.
Yeah.
I was upstairs in my bedroom.
We talked about how, Calvin, if the way I recall it, I believe you testified that Calvin walked in, he let Mr. Dean in, Mr. Dean bought Calvin an airplane, and then I believe you said they were playing video games, and at that time you were talking to Ms. Wright. Is that correct?
A few hours later, I was talking to Miss Wright, yes.
Okay.
But the airplane, he came in the door with that. So I didn't see them playing with it or put it together. I just saw it in the box.
Okay. So, this sounds like a fairly regular day. What would you say? How do you remember it so well?
Because Abe always spends time at my house with Calvin.
Okay.
Tia and I play cards a lot. I normally tend to invite a lot of friends over for card games. I'm a very active person. I host a lot of dinner parties and things like that at my house for my family and friends.
So it sounds like this is sort of a regular occurrence for you. Right?
I wouldn't say regular. I just would say it's normal.
So you say it's similar. It's similar to a lot of other days.
Something that I probably do maybe 2 or 3 times a month.
Okay. So I guess my question to you is, how do you remember this specific day so specifically and not have it get mixed up with the other days?
I remember this
Objection,
specific
argumentative.
day because
Objection, Ms. Zerker, hold on. She's answering the questions. She's under oath. Objection, argumentative.
response.
Judge, I don't think it's argumentative. I just trying to figure out why she remembers this day specifically. I don't think it's argumentative.
Answer to the best of her ability. If you don't like the answer, you can make your arguments around that.
Thank you, Your Honor.
The objection is sustained.
Thank you, Judge. I have nothing further, Judge.
Thank you. Any redirect, Mr.
No redirect. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Next witness, please.
Your Honor, I would like to call Mr. Ibrahim Dean, a.k.a. Abe.
Good afternoon, sir. Could you please state your name for the record?
Yes, Ibrahim Dean.
All right, sir. Would you please raise your right hand to be sworn? You swear affirm that the testimony you're about to provide will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God, and the penalties of perjury, sir.
Yes.
All right, thank you. You may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Hi, Mr. Dean. I am Ms. Zerker's lawyer, and I'm going to ask you a few questions about, to the extent you can remember, what happened on April 18th, 2021, okay?
Yes.
Do you and Ms. Zerker have a child in common?
Yes.
What is that child's name?
Calvin.
Okay. Do you and Melissa Floyd have a child in common?
Yes.
And what is that child's name?
Amonte.
Okay. On April 18th, 2021, were you at Ms. Zerker's residence at any time that day?
Yes.
Do you remember what time of the day approximately you were there, when you arrived and when you left?
Yeah, it was. I arrived shortly around 10 o'clock because it was early in the morning, and because it was my birthday, so I wanted to see my son. So, and I left like a little close to possibly a little after 5 o'clock, around 5 o'clock, because it was starting to get dark out. That's pretty much the extent I know. It was like probably a little after 5 o'clock.
And what did you do while you were at Ms. Zerker's residence from approximately 10 a.m. to 5 p.m.?
I played Xbox with Calvin. We played some basketball. We played with his little flying drone. But for the most part, I just was really hanging out with him, jumping around Xbox, and yeah.
Okay. And you said that was your birthday?
Yeah.
All right. And was Ms. Zerker with you the whole time or not?
No.
Where was she?
She was pretty much around, I guess, out and about. At first she was with her boyfriend. So I pretty much was with Calvin. I didn't really pay them much mind.
Was she at the house?
That I know of. When I got there, yeah. During the whole time, I don't know where anybody really was besides Calvin.
Okay. Where were you and Calvin? Like what part of the house?
The living room.
Okay. Were you and Calvin ever in any other room of the house?
At the kitchen.
Okay. Do you know someone named Tia Wright?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you recall if she was at Ms. Zerker's residence on April 18, 2021?
Yes, she was.
Do you remember what time she arrived?
No, I do not.
Your Honor, I don't have any further direct questions for Mr. Dean at this point.
Mr. Burdell.
Thank you, Judge. So, Mr. Dean, so I'm going to ask you some questions. I'm not trying to trick you or trap you or get sneaky or clever with you. So if you have any questions that you have a hard time, that maybe if I don't phrase it correctly or I don't explain it well, it's not because I'm trying to trick you, but just let me know and I can try to rephrase it, okay?
Okay.
So I believe you said you got there in the morning and you were at the defendant's house until about 5 p.m.?
Yes.
Okay. And you said you spent most of your time with your son Calvin, right?
Right. Correct.
And so let's get the house layout here. So were you in the same room, or were you in a totally separate part of the house from the defendant, from Miss?
I was in a totally separate part of the house.
Right. And would she come in regularly and check in on you guys and say hello, or would she just kind of doing her own thing?
Doing her own thing.
And so did you go with long stretches of time without even seeing her that day?
Yeah.
So
pretty much most of the time I didn't see her. I was with Calvin, so
okay.
And we have that mutual trust. So.
And from where you were sitting with Calvin, could you see the exits to the house?
I could only see the front door.
Is there a back door?
Yeah.
And if somebody were to leave that back door, would you know it?
I'd leave out the back door.
Yeah.
Honestly, not really, because of her other children. Her other kids.
A lot of kids kind of coming and going.
Yeah, I was going to say people were kind of running around.
Okay. And so if Miss Zerker was to leave the house for half hour, 45 minutes, would you know that?
I mean, I'd assume I would have seen it, because unless she didn't go out the front door, which I don't know why she would not.
But if she would have gone out the back door, it's possible.
If she would have went out the back door, there's a chance I probably wouldn't have even known, because my attention was on my son.
pretty focused on your kid that you on Calvin there.
Yeah.
Okay. Nothing further, Judge.
Thank you. Any redirect?
No, nothing further, Your Honor. Thank you.
Thank you. May this witness be excused.
Yes, sir.
I have nothing further, Judge.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Dean. You are free to leave. You can stay if you so choose, or you can leave the space.
Okay. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Have a good day, sir.
You too.
Next witness, please.
Judge, I'm sorry, Judge. I'm sorry to interrupt you, Mr. Banis. I actually have an objection to Ms. Tia Wright as to relevance. We've heard both through Ms. Zerker's own testimony that Miss Wright didn't show up until 6 o'clock at night. The allegation is that this occurred earlier in the day. The fact that she appeared so much later in the day means that she's not relevant to this case. This could have occurred well hours before Miss Wright appeared on the scene.
Mr. Banis, what is the relevance of her testimony if she didn't arrive until 6:30?
Your Honor, I would like to ask Ms. Wright to confirm when she arrived, and I agree if she testifies that she didn't arrive till then that's fine.
Zerker already testified to that.
I'm sorry, what?
Ms. Zerker already testified that she didn't arrive until 6:30.
Okay, that's fine. No problem.
I mean, if you feel free to do that, you know what? I'm going to allow him to do that. And the questions are going to be limited to what time did she arrive first.
It'll be very brief. I mean, I think it's relevant that Ms. Zerker was at her home that day, but I fully agree that the
If she was at home at 6:30 when something happened at 2 is not relevant.
I understand.
That's right.
Hello.
Thank you, ma'am. Could you please turn on your video? Thank you. Please raise your right hand to be sworn, ma'am. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to provide will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
All right. Ma'am, please tell us your first and last name.
Tia Wright.
All right. Mr. Banis, before you began any extensive questioning, the questions are limited to what time did she arrive?
Thank you, Your Honor. I'll just ask if it's okay, just some very, I think, acceptable foundational type questions. Ms. Wright, do you know someone named Taisha Zerker?
Yes.
Okay. On April 18th, 2021, do you remember where you were that day?
I went over Taisha's house.
Okay.
I'm not really sure about what time I got there.
Was it during the day or during the night, if you remember?
It was during the day.
Uh-oh.
To the best of your recollection, well, let me ask this. Do you remember what you did at her house that day?
Yeah, we were playing cards at her kitchen table.
Okay. I'm sorry, I just want to make sure. Did you say it was day or night when you arrived?
It was during the day. The sun was still out.
Okay. And this was April 2021, so it's kind of springtime in Michigan.
Right.
To the best of your recollection, and you can't speculate, but can you tell us when you arrived at her house that day?
I'm not 100% sure. I just know it was during the day, and I stayed pretty much all day. Well, I was there all day until the night.
Do you remember what time you left?
I want to say maybe 8:30, 9 o'clock.
Okay. Was Taisha at the house with you the whole time you were there, or not?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. No further questions.
Mr. Burdell, your witness.
I have no questions, Judge.
I have some questions. Ms. Wright, who was at the home when you were there?
Calvin and Abe was there when I first got there.
Who was there?
Calvin, her son, and Abe.
When you first got there?
Yes.
And then what happened? You said when you first got there, did something change about them being there?
He left for a minute. I'm trying to think. What did we do when we first got there? I'm not really.
Who left for a minute, ma'am?
Abe.
Okay. And is Abe the same as Mr. Ibrahim Dean?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And so when you arrived there, he was there?
Yes.
And
but he left shortly after I got there.
He left shortly after you got there. When you arrived there, ma'am, do you have any way of determining an approximate time that you got there?
No, not really. I can't say for sure because honestly I don't remember.
Okay.
I do know we were there. We were talking, playing cards, in the kitchen.
At some point in time, did Ms. Zerker become upset about something?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. All right, I have no further questions.
All right, with that, we will leave that case to a close. Come back tomorrow for the exciting conclusion, as what I thought was going to be a simple slam dunk open and close is getting quite weird. Till then, make sure you do like, share, and subscribe. Be kind to one another, and release the Krakens as always. As we rock on here this afternoon and every afternoon from day one. Auditors, frauditors, subsets, and Karens, of course, coming up in the evening at part 2 of Storm Chasers with Art Bell in the overnight. We'll have this one last fight and see you in the evening. As we always say, like, share, and subscribe, be kind to one another, and release the Krakens. As we march on closer to that 50,000 views, 1,000 subscribers, Suboxy sends those nice red packages, and of course, Google puts us on the algorithms here from day one. Again, have a great afternoon. We'll see you tonight.